Hi, this is Derek Regensberger, and welcome to another episode of the Clarinet Connection, your source for gear and product reviews and practice and performance tips for the clarinet. Today is episode 8 in 24 tips for better clarinet playing. In today's episode, we'll discuss playing with intensity or fast air. And one of the biggest differences between professional clarinetists and often advanced amateurs is that they play with a lot more intensity, a lot faster air support for the instrument. And this does a couple of things. It gives them a much bigger and broader sound. It also allows them to play in the high register much more easily. It also is going to give them a bigger dynamic range. So they're going to have very clear pianissimo as well as extremely strong and loud fortissimo. So to achieve that kind of large sound, you really need to support the air from the diaphragm, but also play with a much more intense or faster stream of air. So you'll often see a number of articles written for clarinet instruction that talk about playing with faster air. It's a common refrain from brass players. When they talk about playing with faster air so that they can play higher and stronger, what they're really talking about is the force with which the airstream is being used. Okay? So in a typical clarinet player, we might play with but with really fast and intense air, you're going to play with a much more forceful stream of air. And it's almost like you're restricting the airflow with your diaphragm muscles. So let's hear what that might sound like. So first of all, I'll play like a typical high school student might play. Again, it gets the notes out, but it doesn't sound that different. The tones are kind of muffled, so we really need to put, especially when we're playing in this low register, a lot more air support behind it. And you can hear how the dynamic changes are much bigger and it just sounds much deeper and darker. So really try and, especially when you're playing in that low register, put a lot of intensity into the air support, and that'll really help the sound come out. Another benefit of that is that your sound is going to project much better than it otherwise would. So if you're kind of being buried by brass or other woodwinds in an ensemble or an orchestra, when you put a lot more air support behind your tone, it's really going to project out into the auditorium much stronger than it otherwise would. So when you listen to some of the great clarinetists of our day, like Stephen Williamson at the Chicago Symphony or Ricardo Morales at the Philadelphia Orchestra, their tone and their sound is just enormous. And really one of the keys to that is that they are, again, using this much more intense stream of air than amateur players typically use. So to achieve that quality of tone, again, remember, really support the air, and it's going to be a much faster and forceful stream of air than you've been using in the past. Now let's hear what we can do to really play loud dynamics. Now let's put some more air behind it. So you can see that you can play much louder, much more of a broad range of dynamics when you put a more forceful airstream behind your playing. So to achieve that, what are some things we can do? All right, let's take a look at a couple of visuals to see how we might look at how we are, how much air force we're putting behind our plane. So this is a little lung trainer with a balloon on the end, and if I play with the same amount of air support as I was doing of the typical high school student, it might look something like this. You can see I can't really blow that balloon up very easily. But now, if I put a really intense airstream through it, the balloon will blow up quite easily. Another way we can visualize that, if you don't have a lung trainer, is the old cup and straw. So put a little bit of water in and blow some air into the water through the straw. And again, we'll do the typical high school student. And now if I demonstrate what an intense airstream looks like, you'll see that the bubbles get much bigger and becomes much more obvious that I'm playing with a much more forceful stream of air. So this is a great way to visualize how you're playing. So again, how do we work on playing with a stronger stream of air? Well, playing long tones is a great way to work on that. And you really want to focus in on playing at long tones with dynamic changes. So you'll start at a very soft pianissimo, gradually increase to fortissimo, and then back down to pianissimo. So something like this. And that'll really help you develop the air support needed and give you an idea of how much force is needed to properly play your instrument. One of the useful benefits of using a more forceful stream of air is that you can play harder reeds. If you're playing with a very weak stream of air, it's going to be very difficult to play harder reeds. This is a number 4 Van Doren, so let's see what it might sound like with a weaker stream of air. So you can see the sound comes out, but it's not a very convincing one. Now if we play with a more forceful stream of air, much stronger sound. So the key to maintaining that forceful airstream is really to, again, breathe from the diaphragm, and then make sure that you are firming up the corners of your mouth, but also using your top lip, kind of curling your top lip under, and that's going to help you really seal your embouchure well so that you can really blow strongly through the instrument. So one trick that I do is I take my index finger and I kind of roll my top lip under like that, and then that helps me form the embouchure. And we can also play very high in the register once we're able to kind of strengthen and put the necessary air support behind our sound. So even a double high C is possible as long as we're supporting it with that extra air support. It becomes really hard to hit high notes like that, one, if we're using soft reeds, and two, if we're not putting the necessary air behind it. Try and play tones in the low register first, and this will really help you develop a strong sound. So play those low Gs, Fs, Es, and really try and support them strongly. And once you're able to do that, you're going to be able to really hear a difference in how you sound. And once you're able to achieve a good sound in the low register, you can then start going up over the break into the clarion and even the altissimo registers. All right, let's hear another example of a difference between weak air support versus strong air support. This is a selection from the last movement of the Holtz Military Suite number 2. All right, thanks for watching the Clarinet Connection, and tune in next time for part 9 and 24 tips for better clarinet playing.